Sir, as we are bidding farewell to Sha'ban, how can we get ready for the holy month of Ramadan?
The month of Sha'ban actually, which is the 8th month of Islamic calendar, is like a serious start a serious start of the spiritual journey. And our direct introduction to the holiest month of Islamic calendar as the month of Sha'ban actually, it is the 8th month that precedes the 9th month, which is the holiest month of Islamic calendar, the month of Ramadan. That's why Muslims should take it seriously, as we have to be mentally and physically train ourselves for the holiest month of Sha'ban, of Ramadan. As long as we do our best and exerting the effort, that will make it for Muslims to enjoy the fruits of the month of Ramadan. As we always saying that this month of Sha'ban is like the month of cultivating. And the month of Ramadan actually is the month of the harvest. So as long as Muslims are exerting their effort and increasing their act of worship as much as they can, they will of course enjoy these fruits during the month of Ramadan. A Muslim actually should have a plan for the month of Ramadan just right now, by giving or taking enough time for additional prayer, for Sunnah prayer, additional time for reciting the Holy Quran, for learning the Holy Quran, for reading about the Prophet's biography and learn more about Islam. A Muslim should have a plan for the month of Ramadan from right now, during that month of Sha'ban. And before we start the month of Ramadan, have a plan for improving the relationship with the Holy Quran, as the month of Ramadan actually is the month of the Quran, the month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Holy Quran. So if a Muslim doesn't know how to read the Holy Quran, he must understand and he must learn how to read the Quran, must learn the tajweed, must recite the Holy Quran as much as he can. According to hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those who are exerting their effort will take the double reward. And of course, the reward is highly doubled during the month of Ramadan. That's why Muslims should not wait till the month of the Quran, till the month of Ramadan, which is the month of the Quran, start. Muslims should, from right now, be ready for the month of Ramadan by making a serious plan, giving additional time to give additional prayer, reciting a part of the Holy Quran daily.
Yes.
So we should practice during that month of Sha'ban, preparing himself for the month of feeding, which is the month of Ramadan, by preparing or giving charity to other people, or visiting relatives, or even providing a food or feeding for those who are fasting people. According to hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those who are feeding a fasting person will take the same reward of that fasting person without decreasing anything of the reward of that fasting person. So the Muslims are highly recommended to increase active worship, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have a plan to improve the relationship with the Quran, to learn how to recite the Quran, to recite more of the Holy Quran. The hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam saying that al-mahiru bil-Quran ma'a safarat al-kiram al-barara, those who are skilled in the professional reciting of the Holy Quran will be in the day of judgment, will be with angel. And for those who doesn't know how to read the Quran and how to recite the Holy Quran, they have to do so before the month of Al-Quran, the month of Ramadan. And according to hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, the second part of the same hadith, that those who are exerting effort to understand and read and learn the Holy Quran will have two rewards: a reward for exerting effort and another reward for reciting the Holy Quran. So a plan for reciting the Holy Quran, a plan for additional prayer, additional Sunnah prayer, a plan for giving charity and donating charity, a plan to feed those who are fasting people during that month of Sha'ban. For the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, according to hadith of Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to fast during that month of Sha'ban so often as much as he can, Hadith Aisha, in which Aisha saying that كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصوم حتى نقول أنه لا يفطر ويفطر حتى نقول أنه لا يصوم وما استكمل صيام شهر إلا رمضان وما رأيته أقصر صياما منه في شعبان. So this hadith is narrated by Aisha that confirmed the idea that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to fast during the month of Sha'ban so often, and it's like a mental and a physical training for the Muslims to start during the month of Ramadan. As we know that during the month of Ramadan that we are fasting daily from the sunset, from the dawn till the sunset. So if a person doesn't fast some days during the month of Sha'ban, he may be suffer and find it's difficult for him to fast every day during the month of Ramadan. That's why Muslims should prepare himself physically and mentally by fasting some days during that month of Sha'ban.
Also, sir, can you tell us more about the voluntary fasting in the second half of Sha'ban?
So there is a hadith for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he clarifying said that إذا انتصف شعبان فلا تصوموا, which is in the second part, the second half of the month of Sha'ban. It's not sunnah for Muslim to fast during these days or the second half of the month of Sha'ban. And we have other hadiths in which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that لا تقدموا رمضان بصيام يوم أو يومين. The Muslims is not allowed for them to fast 1 day or 2 days before the month of Ramadan, except if it is like a habit for a man. If it is a habit for a Muslim man to fast, for example, on Mondays and Thursdays, so it is okay for Muslim to fast if it is fall on the same date of these days. It is okay for Muslims to fast. But the general rule for fasting during the second half of the month of Sha'ban, it's not recommended for Muslim to do so. And of course, the days of shak or the day of doubt, which is the 1 day or 2 days before the month of Ramadan, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked the Muslims, the Ummah, not to do so, except if it is like a habit for Muslims to fast on Mondays or Thursdays, and it comes on the same date.
Now we are witnessing the last days of Sha'ban. How can we make the best use of the remaining days of Sha'ban?
A Muslim during these rest days of the month of Sha'ban actually should increase the act of worship as much as he can. Should donate and help the poor and needy people as much as he can. Should have a serious plan for additional prayer, for learning and reciting the Holy Quran. Should like a mental and a physical, practice a mental and a physical training for whatever he's going to do for the month of Ramadan. As we said that whatever we do during these months of Sha'ban, during these rest days of the month of Sha'ban, we will enjoy the fruits of it during the months of the harvest. Ulama used to say that the spiritual journey doesn't start with the months of Ramadan. Actually, Ramadan is like the months of the harvest. They used to teach the Ummah that they should not wait till the months of Ramadan is coming. They should start with the months of Rajab, which is a month of planting the seeds, and increase and take it more seriously during the months of Sha'ban, in which is a month of Sukkah, which is a month of cultivating the seeds, in order to enjoy whatever they plant during the months of Rajab, whatever they cultivate during the months of Sha'ban, in order to enjoy the fruits of it in the months of the harvest, which is the months of Ramadan.
Assalamualaikum wa alaikum salam.
And by that, dear viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of Peace Be Upon You. I'd like to thank my dear guest, Dr. Saeed Kishk, an Islamic researcher at Al-Azhar. Thank you, Dr. Saeed.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Shireen. Until next episode of your program, Peace Be Upon You. Salamullahi alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you.
Rifat Al-Qur'ani Academy, your Quran and Arabic journey starts here.